On this hat here, it's a rolled brim, and we're going to learn how to finish off the hat. So we take about 4 inches, keep a scissor handy, and snip it. I prefer to put a little tiny little knot on the very end of that so you can feel the difference between what you had finished and what your drawstring is going to be. So the drawstring is just going to be an arm's length of yarn, and of course we would have a tangled piece of yarn. Welcome to the real world. Oh yeah. So we take an arm's length and we snip it. This is now going to become our drawstring. Get that out of the way. The kit comes with your little plastic needle. So we're going to get that threaded. Wherever you ended up leaving off, our knot is on this peg right here. I'm going to start in the peg right next to it. I'm going to take the needle, use that little indentation on the peg so I can scoop up both strands of yarn. And I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail. I will then go into the next stitch, make sure I get both, and pull, but not too hard because we want to make sure that we don't pull this drawstring all the way through. So it's scoop up the bottom 2 and just pull all the way through. I want to make sure we do follow all the way around and make sure you've got a line going all the way around the pegs that you got into and sewn every single stitch. So right now I'm sewing into the last peg, and I can take my needle off and set it down. The next thing, after you make sure you've sewn into everything, don't be afraid, this is the scariest part, is to actually take your hook and take everything up and off the peg. Okay, once we have everything off, we want to make sure that we turn the hat inside out. We want to make sure the knot is going to go on the outside, the inside portion of the hat so it doesn't end up showing. Now, the reason I had you make the knot in that slip knot area was as you're running your fingers over, you've got the knot and this is the drawstring. So as you actually pull on the drawstring, you are closing up the hole in the top of the hat, and that's how we close it up. The next thing we're going to do is tie a knot, and if your strings end up getting too long, they can be clipped. And pull snugly. This way the hat will not have an opening in the top. So I'm just going to clip that because those strings got to be a little bit too long. And we're going to make a couple of knots in this. Don't forget, patience, we'll be placing this in the washing machine, and we want to make sure that the hat does not come undone. So we take the 2 strings from the drawstring, 2 strings from the slip knot string, and then we're going to tie those together also. And pull snugly. And of course I always use 3. And then I'll leave a little bit of string and just clip the top. That's all there is to it. And when you turn it back inside out, the top of the hat is already closed off. The only thing that is left is that first little string that you had. So I use my fingers to weave it into the bottom two. This hat did not have a brim, and so we've got the extra strings sitting around. Then I go into the next, take the bottom loop, and just pull it through. After you pull the hat a little this way, a little that way, everything stretches right back into shape. So after putting the 2 strands through 4 or 5 loops, we take the scissor and clip it, and we just re-roll the brim, and here we have a passing hat.